Greetings, mathematicians. Today we're looking at Concept 2 in Section 6.2, Division of Rational Expressions. And in order to divide rational expressions, you actually follow the rules of multiplying. But there's one big step that needs to be done. When you have a fraction divided by a fraction in mathematics, we do not divide fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal of the second fraction. So the textbook example, 15 divided by 14 divided by 10 divided by 49 is 15 over 14 times 49 over 10. And we follow the same rule when we're dividing polynomials or a rational expression divided by another rational expression. We follow the rules. Basically, we flip the second fraction and then multiply straight across. So for example 2a, we're going to first rewrite this so that it's multiplying by the reciprocal. So in order to do that, I'm just going to write the first one again, 8t cubed plus 27 divided by 9 minus 4t squared. But now instead of divide, I'm going to write times, and I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So 2t squared minus t minus 3. Divide that by 4t squared minus 6t plus 9. So now this is a concept 1 problem. Rational expression times another rational expression. We have to factor everything that can be factored. So 8t cubed plus 27 is a sum of cubes. A sum of cubes is base a cubed, for example, a cubed plus b cubed is going to factor to a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. And the signs are always depending on what you're doing. So sum of squares, your first factor is the same sign as what you have here, then followed by the opposite sign of the first factor, and then always positive sign, SOAP, same sign, opposite sign, always positive, same, opposite, always positive. And then it's almost identical for difference of cubes. It would be minus sign, plus sign, plus sign. But this is a sum. So 8t cubed is a perfect cube. 27 is a perfect cube. So the way we're going to factor that, the cube root of 8t cubed is 2t. So that's going to be our first term, plus, because it's the plus sign for sum, plus 3. Then we multiply that. So 2t squared is going to be 4t squared, followed by the minus sign, opposite sign, and then AB is the product of your terms here. 2t times 3 is 6t, so minus 6t, and then 3 squared is 9, so plus 9. And that is going to be divided by 9 minus 4t squared. So that's a difference of squares. So a difference of squares, let's go ahead and put that one up here too. A squared minus b squared factors to its conjugates, a plus b times a minus b. So something just that needs you to commit to memory. So 9 minus 4t squared is going to factor to 3 plus 2t times 3 minus 2t. And that takes care of, and I do want to emphasize, it takes care of factoring the numerator and the denominator. Now we have the numerator 2t squared minus t minus 3. That is going to need AC method followed by factoring by grouping. So I'm going to do that at the bottom over here. So 2t squared minus t minus 3. My a value is 2. My b value is negative 1. My c value is negative 3. The product of AC is negative 6. And the two numbers that multiply to give me negative 6, but when I add them give me negative 1, are negative 3 and 2. So negative, or 2 and negative 3. These two numbers are going to help me split this middle term here. So let me write that over here. So 2t squared plus 2t minus 3t. Again, combine those two, gives me my negative t. And then I still have negative 3. And then I can do my factoring by grouping. So the GCF of the first group is 2t. That's going to be followed by t plus 1. The GCF of the second group is negative 3, so minus 3 gets factored out. What's left is t plus 1. And always verify. Negative 3 times 3t, negative 3t. Negative 3 times 1, negative 3. So this 4-term polynomial has just been rewritten as a 2-term binomial with a common binomial factor of t plus 1. So that's what gets factored out, and the other factor is what's left behind, 2t minus 3. So in the numerator over here, we're basically writing these two factors up here. So I'm going to extend, since I'm multiplying a fraction, extend the fraction bar here, multiply by t plus 1 times 2t minus 3. And the denominator here, it is not a coincidence that we see the same exact trinomial here. One thing to keep in mind, always remember, when you factor out a sum of cubes or difference of cubes, the factors are no longer factorable. The second factor can no longer be factored. So that means it's prime over the real numbers. So we're just going to write that as we do in the first one here. So 4t squared, or I should say in the numerator here, minus 6t plus 9 is going to be in the denominator. So now we can go ahead and start simplifying. The easy one is actually going to be the trinomial divided by the trinomial. So this trinomial divided by that trinomial is 1 divided by 1. Here's the interesting factors. 2t plus 3 and the one right over here, 3 plus 2t, these are actually identical factors. Because of the commutative property of addition, they're the same. Which means if I have identical factors, they simplify to 1 over 1. However, 2t minus 3 and 3 minus 2t are not identical factors, they're opposite of each other. Here the 2t is positive, here it's negative. Here the 3 is negative, here it's positive. So when I have opposites, those do simplify, but they simplify to negative 1 over 1. And now, what I have left over in the numerator, 1 times negative 1 times t plus 1 is, and I'll write that over here, negative 1 times t plus 1. And in the denominator, what I have is 1 times 1. So divide by 1. I really don't need to show division of 1. If 1 is in the denominator, it's not needed. If it was in the numerator and is the only thing, then it's needed. And I also don't need this negative, or I don't need the 1. I need negative, but I don't need the 1. So this could be written as negative parentheses t plus 1, and that would be your final answer.